opponents, Rainy, who's got the little edge? Who's got that slight little...
I am not... Yeah, I'm not necessarily a believer in Prince. Also...
He was a great guy.
You're not a Prince believer?
I'm not a Prince believer.
I don't know. I try to do a believer thing. But
It's
it
okay.
It's close. We'll start it. Hashtag for Bieber.
For Bieber?
Portmanteaus are tough. We've seen Expos betray people before, right? You have to win with both decks in order to advance in a match.
You do.
And we've seen situations where, more so than any other deck, Expo's a very linear deck. It only does one thing, set up an Expo. And if you can't do that, you're not going to advance. Now we're looking at Colton with a Golem deck and a Barbarian Hut deck.
Good anti-Expo.
Right. Theoretically, it's going to be really hard to get this Expo through, but I don't want to count out TopNotch because besides having, well, already beaten a Golem Graveyard deck to get here, a member of Reddit Alpha, it's probably the best crew of Siege players in the game.
Yeah, so one thing I want to ask you is, if you place a 6-mana Expo, it's charge time. In that charge time, will the opponent have enough elixir to generate a 7th and drop a Barbarian?
Yeah, you
yes.
get... No, well, yes, but no, but yes. Yes, you will
Unpack that a little
generate.
bit.
You will generate the elixir. You get 1 elixir every 2.8 seconds, so you will get the elixir in that opening. But it takes about a second to actually cast something and have it land on the board. So you might be at exactly 7, but it might be one of those situations where the Expo locks onto the tower and then your Barb Hut comes down. The catch, I think, is that I would expect the opponent to have the Barbarian Hut before the Expo's ever played.
It is.
As such, the Barbarian Hut is already installed, but I don't think Colton, or actually it's TopNotch with the Expo deck, isn't it?
TopNotch is running his own Barbarian Hut deck. Remember, we have a Barbarian Hut mirror
match.
and actually, that's the match that's going on. Colton has that trip, and yes, yeah, you're right, because it's the Three Musketeers deck. So we're gonna see Barb Hut on Barb Hut.
Ooh, that's a rough defense. Only a single archer had to spend the fireball.
Did the fireball knock the Hog Rider over the log? It looked like he actually didn't get affected by the log knockback.
That's a good, maybe he's invulnerable during the knockback animation.
Interesting. See, gotta go back and watch that.
Slow.
This thing. 1/4 the speed. Oh, here we go.
You could do that if you went to the YouTube channel, watch the VOD.
Oh yeah.
You can set the speed as slow and fast as you want.
Here we go. This is exactly where you don't want to be if you are Colton. Having your barbs fighting on the opponent's side of the board of the tower can help out. But this is exactly where TopNotch's barbs don't want to be.
Back and forth.
Ugh.
Ice Golem gets placed to defend against the Mega Minion, and the archers do really well taking that down.
It's not looking bad at all.
So now, is this an exact mirror? So the final card in TopNotch, is that Three Musketeers? Oh no, it's Prince.
Nope.
No.
Prince versus...
This was the card that I did not believe in.
Yeah, well look at it, it's there, it's real. Right, look at it.
It's real, but I don't know if it'll be real effective.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
That's a big fireball taking down.
That was potentially the most valuable fireball in Clash
We've ever
history.
seen.
I mean, that was Three Musketeers and a Barb Hut and the Barbs and maybe...
The value ball is real. It's alive.
Yeah, it's very difficult. If you're playing Three Musketeers on defense, the biggest problem is they have to sit there and shoot, so they clump up for any kind of spell retaliation.
Yeah.
Normally, you would play them and they would start walking and split themselves up very quick enough that it's very difficult to react to. But if they stand there and start shooting shots, they're not moving, they're susceptible to being hit by spells.
Hog Rider is one of the better matchups against Barb Hut, and since both of these Barb Hut decks are also hacking the Hog Rider, it's not making, like both Barb Huts are getting punished pretty badly.
Yeah.
To the point where they're actually not doing damage to each other. It just seems like they're having a fun time in the middle. Yes.
Yeah.
Just having a little party on the bridge.
Okay, so the question here, as we now have hit overtime and really not much damage has been done to either tower, are we going to just keep seeing this? Is it too dangerous for someone to break the cycle, or how is one of these two players going to kind of branch out?
Well, that Hog Rider getting some damage through is pretty worth it. I think if you really want to win the attrition game, the goal might be actually to try to get 2 Barb Huts out. Kind of lay off for one cycle the Princing and the other expensive cards, and try to just cycle back cheaply with your Archers, Ice Golem, etc., and maybe get out a second Barb Hut.
2 fireballs Colton has executed and done very well with, and I think that's why we're seeing Colton earn a little bit more damage on the tower. I think these fireballs are really putting him ahead in the game. Great positioning on 3 Musketeers. You can see that they try to split immediately, and so one of the Musketeers at the very least is going to survive that barrage of damage.
The Ice Golem's going to tank for a little bit there to let those Musketeers actually get some damage through, but the enemy Ice Golem ignores the troops, pushing through and blowing up on those very fragile Musketeers.
Here is getting serious value right now. Oh, good.
Gets taken down by the Prince.
A key interaction to remember about Prince is Prince 2-hits Barbarians, and if he's charging, he's going to 1-hit Barbarians. So when those barbs are only coming 2 at a time, there's a good chance for the Prince to maybe wind up with a full charge and then, maybe knock the thing down.
Hog Rider ekes by, takes down a lot of health on that Barbarian hut.
So tanky though.
Yeah, Barbarian hut has a ton of health associated with its building.
You weren't lying. This might end up being a draw. I almost wonder if knowing how this was going to end, if they wouldn't just start really just fireballing from the start. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Constantly fireballing each other's barb huts.
Well, again, these are 2 of the top players, again, like you said, facing off in the King's Cup.
And they possibly just didn't know that this was how it was going to go, right? Like, I think it's very reasonable to assume that you just wouldn't expect. Like, who knows this matchup that well?
Right, this is very new.
Oh yeah, the barb hut, 3
Hog Rider.
Deck. You gotta,
Yeah,
So weird.
everyone's running these days, only the cool kids. All right, 55 seconds left.
9:44.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty
Colton
low.
did pretty well. It's just overtime is only 3 minutes at the most.
Yeah.
48 seconds. Take it. How do you do that?
Another hog fireball could be really effective.
Yes.
He only needed to get like a fireball, 2 hog swings, and then you can finish it off with a fireball with about 10 seconds left.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he sees that line of play or not, but I think it's something he could do.
30
Wow,
seconds.
Prince tags onto the Hog Rider rather than the Barbarian.
Ooh, the Prince is so good on defense against the Hog Rider because not only is it just a very effective
A lot of damage.
defender, but it converts really well into attacking.
Every single time the Hog Rider goes down for Colton, Barbarian Hut goes down for TopNotch. 10 seconds left. It looks like there is nothing that either of these players are going to do to end it, and so we are going to be going to a draw. And this one makes sense, right? I mean, these are some of the top players right now coming from the King's Cup, going so far, and then $10,000, multiples of thousands for the other one, coming in here. So that's a draw. Our first semifinals going. We're going to be seeing it again.
Yeah, we're going to. Well, they don't necessarily have to even play the same deck, so they might switch it up. What's worth thinking about is that both of those decks are control decks. I mean, neither of those decks are what we'd classify as beatdown or siege. They're not really winning from their side of the board like a siege deck would with Expo or even the spell cycle. They're not beatdown because they don't have an aggressive plan A that they're trying to execute over and over again. They just both sit back and see what their opponent does and tries to make timely counterattacks. But since both are sitting back, both are defensive, and neither has an elite offense, they're the decks most likely to end up in a draw state.
One of the things I want to bring up though is if let's say you're Colton, I would bring the same deck again because not only if you were to go to draw, you would have won because the other the tower's down to 400. So I would say bring the same one. But if you're TopNotch, do you bring the same deck again, or are you gonna switch it up?
What is this other deck?
You might stay with the same deck. No, I mean, it's hard to say because either of those decks were just one good Hog Rider push or one good Prince Slam from winning the game. Now, you could admit that, well, they did it a dozen times to each other and no one got anywhere, so maybe your success rate is like 5% or less. But it wasn't like his deck was bad. And knowing what he knows now, I think in this game you're going to see a lot more stacking of the barb huts.
All right, well, it looks like
That would be my
TopNotch is bringing the barb hut. See if Colton W is going to be tagging along.
Hard to say. He's got archers in both decks.
Got
Got Mega Man in both decks.
both decks as well,
Okay.
The waiting game.
Let's see.
I assume he's playing the same deck.
Fireball.
That is the barb hut deck. Yeah.
Okay, so it is. We're going to be seeing a rematch of the draw. Now, if this one goes into a draw, it is going to be whoever has the lowest health on a tower. Not total, just single tower, lowest HP.
I really think Colton has a good eye on this match, looking for as many excuses to throw the fireball from as early on in the game as he can. Could possibly change that draw situation into a win. And I think Colton starting early is just indicating of a good line of play. But Hog Rider squeezes through and gets a bunch of swings, and ultimately, that's going to be what catches you up, right? Two swings from a Hog Rider is way more worth it than one fireball.
Yeah, and we even mentioned that the Prince Slam can make all the difference, and right there, the Prince was able to crash into the barb hut, really putting it a long time before Colton's gonna be able to play another one again.
Here's something that we rarely saw from Colton in the last game is playing 3 Musketeers behind the King Tower, going to allow those 2 low health Musketeers to be assisted by an Ice Golem, meaning they're still very dangerous despite the fact that they're low health. But like Colton opts not to do that don't know if they're even going to get a single shot.
I don't know how much damage that Musketeer was doing with the 3 shots, but that probably took at least probably 1 wave of barbs off. And given that Barb Hut only makes 5 waves, taking just 1 off with some extra Musketeers sitting around is pretty good.
Good to me. Or Prince, too slow.
Played archers to stop the Mega Minion from getting onto the Barb Hut, and Colton has done a much better job protecting his Barbarian Hut. That's going to allow him to play probably a second one coming up here now, especially as we're in double elixir time.
I think Colton has kind of taken back tempo of the game. He has a half-health Barb Hut right as his opponent has to recast their Barb Hut. I would assume Colton has a Barb Hut in hand real soon now, and if he gets out a second one, I think that could be pretty good.
Well, as we use your time now, you're saying, let's see if you can kind of double up, not do a push.
It's possible that's not a good strategy. Like, for example, if you play a second Barb Hut, it is by definition behind the King Tower. And that might not be where you want it simply because you're trying to guard against Hog Riders.
All right, well, 15 seconds. 1847 on TopNotch's top right. 1902 down Colton's. They're going into overtime here.
It's worth mentioning this might be another draw. So to reiterate the rules, at the end of this game, if it is still a draw, the lowest total health on a single tower loses. So if it ended right now, TopNotch would lose because he's got 1847 to 1902 on Colton's tower.
Barbarian Hut gets exposed, and the Hog Rider's coming through. And what good timing for TopNotch. And this Hog Rider's going to get a big swing. That changes the advantage into TopNotch's
Yeah, now
side.
TopNotch would have won.
Yep.
Or will win if it goes.
And it wouldn't shock me if in the last 30 seconds, if it looks like we're going to another draw, if the players just don't start slinging spells at each other.
You got one.
You start doing that now?
Oh, Colton does.
Yep, apparently.
I mean, Colton has been definitely a lot more aggressive with the fireballing of the towers early on here. I think that he realizes that the last game he could have won if he had just maybe landed 2 more fireballs throughout the course of the game. When you have 6 minutes to do so, you know, take as much as you can. I mean, it's kind of weird because he's taking a huge elixir loss doing so, but by splitting the 3 Musketeers, he's forcing his opponent to fireball on the other tower, right? Kind of splitting it up. The downside there, though, is he's taking like essentially almost a 5 elixir loss. I mean, he's taking a lot of loss there.
Get 2 Barbarian Nuts. For a second, one gets out. Oh, his brother got shut in.
1430 to 1389.
The health is, yeah, it's going back. It's
So
very
close.
He's trying to do the same thing, trying to sneak through that Hog Rider just as the building gets destroyed. 1 barb comes out.
Wow, plus the log means the Hog Rider didn't get a single swing on the tower, but the log actually clipped the tower a little bit. If TopNotch doesn't catch up, doesn't trade spell for spell, he could actually lose the spell cycling race. Barb gets placed again. Seems a little far back. I don't know if that's going to stop a hog that gets pushed, but we'll see. Hog Rider coming across. Ice Golem is a little bit of a protection for it. Actually squeezes by, gets a few good swings.
So that thing will be dead pretty soon. Maybe only 1 more wave of barbs will come out.
Fireball. So 3 Musketeers now are, I guess, safe for a moment.
Yeah,
and
but
you
he
get
didn't
the
have the 9
elixir.
elixir.
Yes. The elixir will be the big question. Can you actually spend
So
the
much
time to save up the 9?
And by this time, Colton is taking a huge lead. 952. They're on TopNotch.
He's got double barb huts
30
out.
still. Oh, make it out. Nice. They made it out. All right, there we go.
Let's try to cycle. Here comes a Hog Rider, and there's no Barbarian Hut in
Oh,
hand.
wow.
And that's
just
it.
like that. We're not even going to go to a draw. That's just going to be a spell cycle for Colton W. Fireball is all he needs in his hands. 30 seconds left, and as long as he can defend this, he is good. And he's going to pick up now his first game against TopNotch in the semifinals. 1 more game to go to the finals.
It's exactly as Rumham said. The Hog, the Prince, just if you slip up even once, there's so much potential damage behind those decks that even though it looks really low damage, that's just because there's also a lot of health defending.
Right.
But
Counterplays.
yeah, got 1 Hog Rider.
What was the flip of that?
I think the line of play, I think that there was just a little bit too much elixir committed that was not the Barbarian Hut. One thing that we saw Colton doing very well is playing Barbarian Hut even in situations that were a little bit icky. For example, he played a second Barbarian Hut really close to the river, right next to basically Barbarians and a Hog Rider. Knew that the hut would take damage, but he knew that it was super important just to have that hut exist, right? because the difference is 0 to 1, right? If you don't have a hut, the Hog Rider is going straight for your tower. And a single swing makes all the difference in a situation like that. So just mitigating swings as much as possible is going to be super important. I think TopNotch didn't really respect that. Didn't have the hut, didn't have the elixir, and then the Hog Rider just ran straight through. And then by the time the Hog Rider is already on your tower, it's too late.
So now, if you were to now take these two decks, you were going to make a Hog Rider with a Barbarian Hut, would you throw in Knight? Would you throw in Three Musketeers?
I would throw in Three Musketeers because that was drawing a lot of fireballs.
Yeah, I'd play Prince because I love that guy.
All right, there we go. Coltonw is again up now 1 game against TopNotch. He's looking for this next one to close it out and make his place in the finals. TopNotch wants to win this to prove that he should have won the King's Cup. So let's see.
Kind of surprised that Colton went ahead and played his Hog Rider, or I'm sorry, his Golem in the same lane as the Barb Hut, given that you'd think if you went to push the other lane, you'd just get to avoid those Barbarians altogether.
Had to spend his log early. The Mega Minion helped clear out some of the Barbarians, but now finally 2 more get added to the mix, and Archers are actually not going to damage the Barbarians fast enough. I think this Golem is still set to explode before it even reaches the tower. That's the case.
And I guess maybe it would have gone towards the building in the middle anyhow because it was placed up far enough. Here we go. Let's see if this Knight or the Prince can actually convert. He's probably going to get blocked, but that still forces an elixir.
Oh!
It forces a log out, right? So you got your opponent to spend 2 elixir on a card that you were already happy with. That card already got its value. And that's one of the big differences you see. Oh no, he missed!
Oh wow, there it is. Like you said, the one slip up. This might be the one slip up that Colton looks back and goes, "That was it."
Yes. 1 Hog Rider getting to your tower is big.
Having the Archers as a backup though is very nice. I mean, Archers do a good amount of single target damage with nothing to interrupt them. Uh-oh! Here's another charge though, and he doesn't have Tombstone. That's his hand.
Oh, there we go. Life's gone distracted. It's gonna get slowed.
And I think that's gonna stop it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Slowing down Princes, both the Prince and the Dark Prince, is actually so effective.
Yeah.
Does the sound go like?
Yeah, it goes slower.
Oh, great.
So
Log
much
it.
more depressing.
Wow, that was a great
Well
time.
timed. And it's enough for 1 swing.
Wow, that was expertly done.
Impeccable timing. And actually the Mega Minion, who usually never hits a tower, right? This very much a defensive card, very rarely a good offensive card, does enough to earn its cost by killing the 2 Archers.
All right, well, we're in double elixir time here. TopNotch clearly is leading, but here comes the Graveyard Golem combo. Archer in the back, let's see what he can do.
Did have the Archers ready to go. That's going to limit the effectiveness of the Graveyard quite a bit. There were no troops close enough to the tower to convince the Archers to shoot anything else.
Double Barb Hut. You make it out. There it is. Now it's just like he just played 5-mana Barbarian. 5 elixir Barbarians.
These Golems are really being shut down. They look really unimpressive against Barbarian Huts.
Yeah, and I think Colton's got to figure out a way to go the other direction, right? Like try to wait for a Barb Hut to come down and then go the other way. It's not hard to stop Barb Huts. 2 Barbarians are usually not a big threat to a tower. Anything, just like a single set of Archers will hold them off. But they're doing great work against enemy Golems.
That Prince does not know where he's going. He's just walking around.
Whichever way the wind blows.
Yeah.
Here comes a punishing Hog Rider. If the log comes down, it's going to.
Man, the timing is so well placed for TopNotch. 1 swing. Hey, 1 swing gets in.
The thing that's really cool about that is TopNotch has to throw the log down before he even sees a Tombstone drop to get that timing right.
Yeah, actually that's a great point. So does Coltonw, would it actually be wise for him to mind game a Tombstone?
He could play it on the right side, but I think I think that the Hog Rider will still get a swing off on the tower if the Tombstone is played close to the tower.
Oh, wow. Perfect last-minute Prince. Prevents the tower from taking
Go,
too much
Prince,
damage.
go!
Well,
You can make it!
That's actually not great. Oh, it does get the hit off. It's not great for TopNotch because he spent 5 elixir to hold off a 3 elixir attacker. Every point of damage really matters.
Minute 54 here left in overtime.
Oof. He even got the Ice Golem that just came out, too.
Oops is the word, but the Mega Minion is still providing a lot of value. Finally,
Also,
we'll
the
get
Ice
shut
Golem
down by the Ice
plays
Golem. Yeah, I'm just so convinced that Barbarian Hut is just such a great answer against Golem decks. I mean, none of these Golems, I don't think we've seen a single Golem make it to the tower this whole game.
No, not at all.
Wow.
And furthermore, they're looking like bad at it. You know what I mean?
You're like, yeah, why were they so good last week?
Well, the crazy thing is, this is, I think, something that's unique to the Graveyard variants because it lacks lightning. That was the card that's taken out.
Oh,
and without lightning, you don't have a great answer to these big buildings that are pulling you off to the side.
Neither do you have lightning, nor do you have Baby Dragon as well.
Oh, Hogrider's going for a ride.
Ooh, he tried to push all
just
in.
missed the archers.
TopNotch tried to go for the killing blow there, did the Hog Fireball rather than a Hog Log. I actually think it probably would have been better for TopNotch if he had identified that he wanted to go for the winning move to play the Ice Golem Hog, then play the Log, then play the Fireball.
We might get another draw.
I'll say less than a minute left. Let's see what's going to happen. TopNotch is in the driver's seat, but this could go to another draw. Prince in the back, 35 seconds.
Of course, it won't be a draw. It will be a completed game with one player losing.
And TopNotch will actually take the win in this
Oh,
scenario.
that's so true.
Oh, but hold on. The Graveyard might chip that down, and this is probably Colton's last attempt, actually.
You're right.
There's 2 Mega Minions coming across the field.
That's still some good damage.
Whoa.
He just got dropped before 500. Oh, nope, they're all gone. 13 seconds left.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's great going. The fire's going through.
It's about the lower tower health.
Oh,
No, I think that Log might have secured the deal.
I don't know.
They're just going for it. 1 second. Oh, skeletons were there, but it's not going to be enough. And TopNotch, even though no crowns were given, ties it up 1-1 because the draw was already done, and that was the lower tower round.
These two are exhausting me.
Yeah, the Barb Hut decks still haven't lost yet, for what it's worth. I mean, like, other than against each other.
Good point.
They've each won a game, and now it's going to go to Expo v Golem for the critical game 4.
Okay, so now,
I've kind of seen that before.
do you go for the coin flip of does he have Golem if you have the Expo? Do you just place it and hope and pray?
You know, they've played slow pace enough that I actually think you go for the coin flip. If you don't get it, just start playing for a draw while looking for opportunities, like if they make a mistake with the Golem placement, placing it behind the King Tower, then you try to go for it. But if you if you don't have the right cards in hand at the start, I think you're kind of incentivized to play for a draw a little bit.
They've already done it, what?
2 times.
Yeah.
2 times.
5,
These
7,
are
be a
17
semifinal.
They're just going at it right now, these 2 top
so
players.
This is the last possible game of the match, because even if this one goes to a draw, the sudden death rules are
Somebody has to win.
Right, somebody's going to win it no matter what.
Somebody's going to win.
That might actually favor TopNotch's deck because he can sit back and play defensive expos,
Interesting.
defensive
Yeah, he actually
towers,
doesn't.
but use the spells in order to chip it away. Because Colton's deck only has Zap and Log and Graveyard for spells, no lightning or fireball.
All right, well, here we go. This is the final game between TopNotch and Coltonw83. Let's see who will be moving on to the final.
I feel like this is the longest match.
Yes. The slowest paced game we've ever faced.
That's what happens when you get 2 control players, 2 really methodical, grindy control players against each other. It's going to be this matchup where every single decision matters. Think about this. The best players in every competitive game I've ever played, the best players always love playing control decks. Always. Because they make better decisions than you or
The average person.
Right.
Sure.
And so since they make better decisions, they want decks that are going to force the most possible decisions per game.
Makes sense.
Because that's going to give them an advantage.
Absolutely makes sense. So if you're at home listening right now, make better decisions like us. We'll work on that too. And one day we'll be in the Clash Royale North American Open.
Actually, the best thing you can do as a kind of new player is to play very aggressive coin flippy decks. Like, try to play stuff like Golem, because if it works, it just works and you destroy the tower.
Interesting enough, I was just having. Oh wait, can I talk? Is there crazy things happening?
Yes.
Okay, interesting enough, we were just talking with our cameraman Jordan earlier, and he was saying how he has jumped 3 arenas in the last day because he has decided to only play something when his opponent has played something. He waits for his opponent to play something, he then plays.
Happily leaks
So-
elixir otherwise.
Yes, happily leaks away to make sure that he is, like you said, making a better decision.
I play Golem a lot in challenges and on the ladder, and ever since watching Marcel P, I just don't play anything if I'm playing Golem until they play something.
There you go.
And I'm not kidding. I've had 5 games go into 2x elixir time, and I've won all of them.
Wow.
Really? Like, I've just sat there, and I guess I get against an opponent who's also not going to play anything
so
until I
guess
play something.
He had a point.
Yeah, and so now Marcel P's the smartest person ever. I'm glad he's...
Glad he made it through. He is also going to the arena battles, but right now TopNotch and Colton are trying to earn their spot as well. We are now in double elixir. This is where the Golem shines.
The Golem
Ooh, way
Brothers
up at the river
combination. Got the Ice Golem and the Big Boy Golem. Zap on the Inferno Tower is going to do real well because when it retargeted...
Oh, the Golem's in the river!
Whoa, 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 wait, whoa, Golem can swim?
I didn't even know that was possible.
Oh, maybe he was using the
log.
rocks.
Interestingly enough, the log will actually push units across the river, but Tornado does not.
Oh, it doesn't pull them across?
Yeah.
Boo, boo,
Tornado
boo.
not. But
Supercell, please.
Please. It's only an epic card. The log is legendary. That's
Very good point.
All right, 20 seconds left. Looks like we're going to be going to overtime. 18:30 seconds, 18:68. Very, very close game here.
One advantage for TopNotch's Expo deck that a lot of them aren't running is it runs both the Mega Minion and Minions. This gives them a lot of air superiority in decks. Like, look at this Golden Graveyard deck. It has kind of started to cheap out on the other stuff. It's just got Archers, really, and Mega Minion are the only air attackers. And that's made it pretty tough.
good placing on the Golem, making sure that it can continue to tank up for the Expo, but will get melted down by the Inferno Tower. Actually, the Zap comes in at a key moment, lets it survive a little bit longer and do good damage to the Expo, and I think the Expo is going to be pretty fully mitigated at this point.
So now, like Lava Hound, when Golem explodes, if the Expo was tagging onto it, is there a brief moment where there's nothing to target and the Expo will then target a tower?
That's a good question. I want to say yes, except that there's almost always something behind the golem. In that case, there's the Ice Golem next to it.
Sure. All right, well, here we go.
It makes sense though that it would be like that, unless unless the for whatever reason the Expo has like a slower targeting something or other, right? Yeah.
All right.
Oh, look at the graveyard! Oh, it hit the King Tower!
Oh no! Oh, he procced it.
That could spell death for Colton's deck because now all future graveyards have to deal
Oh,
with
that's so true.
the King Tower.
Like pre-archers.
Yeah,
It's like archers
I
are now
played-
just there.
Yeah, I played graveyard. That's
Free.
a tough card. If that
Now
happens.
remember, the draw rules are in effect, so this one Expo could have just won TopNotch the game. The fact that
That was too far back. That doesn't reach the tower. It's an oops.
Oh, even call it the oops. Well played, Romam.
Oopsie
Oh,
doops.
oh, well played. That was just, he just defensive. He's wants to.
It is I mean, thankfully for TopNotch, his opponent played into it. Like his opponent just as easily, if he would have noticed that was too far back, could have just played the golem behind the King Tower, a rare luxury
and
against
that'd be
Expo
huge.
decks.
Sure.
Is that you usually don't get to build up your big pushes
great
because
Good point.
yeah.
Oh, well, there we go. Graveyard's up, and then we see the King Tower firing away, happy as can be, cannon everyone down. Oh, but that's some good damage.
He
That one is
might
right.
catch up. Now there's Fireball and Log in TopNotch's deck to try to swing the tower health favor into his court in the last few moments, this last minute of the game. And it's really starting to matter because we might go into another draw.
It looks like that's exactly where we're going.
Wow.
12:29 on TopNotch. Coltonw83.
45 seconds.
Here we go. And again, these two faced off in the
So
King's
much
Cup.
help on the-
This is so close. It's within 120 hit points.
Every
you know?
HP matters here.
A
I
single
think Graveyard
princess
should
shot.
be played here.
I mean, I don't think you would. I don't know. I don't know if you just spell cycle, but he's slow. Oh,
no! Oh, what are you gonna do with
JK.
that?
It's not quite in Fireball range, but the minions clean up the graveyard. Zap being
TopNotch might get his revenge.
Oh, that looks like it's exactly revenge. Good game going through. A log on its
Wow.
way in, and there
Wow.
it goes. TopNotch doesn't even need to take it to a draw. He's going on to the finals. Fair and square, and that is going to be our first finalist for
Wow.
Nation Day 13. Like you said, the rematch through. Colton W actually falling right there. TopNotch, congratulations.
If I'm
Congrats.
TopNotch, when I lose at the King's Cup to Colton, I'm losing sleep over that. I'm
Interesting.
going back, I'm watching those games. What did I do wrong? I'm analyzing
pounding
that.
a Gatorade, not a
That
sponsor.
probably helped TopNotch because I'm pretty sure Colton was thrilled, right? Happy, moves on, loses to Yao Yao in the finals, goes, it's fine. But TopNotch is like, never again.
I'll get that
I'll never
revenge.
lose to Colton again.
I'll get that revenge.
And there you go. In a match that goes nearly 20 minutes, he grinds out a
Crazy.
victory.
Is he exhausted now, or is he ready to
Yeah,
like, make
you
it
know,
to the
I
final?
give a little break.
He gets a
but-
break. If that was the second of the semifinal matches,
That would have been no.
They gotta turn around and go into a
Yeah,
final.
yeah.
That's probably best for him. All right, well, we've got our replays now. Let's go and take it out for the unanswered Hog Rider.
Yeah.
Whoop.
That's definitely an unanswered Hog Rider.
They both throw the oops up.
Yeah. The Log whiffed, the Hog Rider got swings off. This was just such a long, drawn-out match. I
yeah,
get
I'm almost like having Groundhog's Day where I'm not sure what replays we're watching.
Yeah.
It's like, when the golem was played in front of the Expo, I'm like, like the 24 times it occurred? Yeah, totally.
I can't.
Here we go, and right here near the end, it's setting up for the fireball log. Really, the right before it, when the damage got through, the Expo managed to lock onto the tower.